Hello and welcome back to my 6th episode of my actual play of the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle solo play using DM Yourself by Tom Scott and Mythic Game Master Emulator 2nd Edition by Tana Pigeon. I'm highlighting the little miniatures I made to keep your attention because I use paper minis in my playthroughs. I drew those. Something I've mentioned before is that I actually get interrupted a lot when I play this kind of a solo TTRPG, simply because it's difficult to make a recording when things are happening around the home. It's been about a week since I last played, and the last time I got interrupted a few times, so I'm hoping to finish today's chapter in one go. In the last episode, Rolo finally got to the chest and managed to open it, and a lot of stuff was in it, and I said I was going to gather all the information. I did post a short on my YouTube and my TikTok showing me using Claude AI to get the information from the PDF of this adventure and then list it out for me, because I didn't want to write it all out myself. I'm way too lazy, and that technology is available. So there's one way that I've been using AI to help me is by doing some of the menial task of like writing things out. I don't do it. I have the bot do it for me. My characters are currently on this cursed shipwreck. They're looking to help Tarak, which they did get the seaweed, and they're looking to also help out Runara over at Dragon's Rest to win her favor because Rolo's trying to steal something from her. And anyways, long story short, check out the other episodes. They had just basically looted the entire ship. It went well. And they found the captain's journal, which had been kept safe from the water by its wrapping. A braid of hair is stuck in the pages like a bookmark, which indicates the log's last entry. And the entry reads as follows. Our journey is ended, though I fear my own is to continue in the most horrible way imaginable. Compass Rose wrecked on the shoal south of Neverwinter. Many sailors perished with the initial impact, and Alethea was gravely injured. As I tended her wounds, she clutched her talisman and breathed soft prayers. I asked her what the talisman signified. She told me love. Her husband waits for her at Dragon's Rest, having pledged his service to the dragon there. The talisman is made from locks of their hair, woven together as a promise to be reunited no matter what fate might befall them. It might have been a beautiful story had it not been for Alethea's gruesome end, and the words of the prayer I heard as she breathed her last. For she was begging Orcus, the prince of undeath, to reunite her with her husband. I held her hands as the breath left her, and I felt a horrible chill pass through her. Next I knew, she was sinking her teeth into my neck. At the same moment, I heard moans begin to rise from the dead sailors all around us. What curse has she brought on us all? Already I feel a creeping chill overtaking my body. I am securing her talisman with this book in my chest in the hope that someone who comes after us may end this nightmare by bringing Alethea's talisman to her husband. All right, so I've done a pretty good job of not spoiling myself, and that's part of the DM Yourself manual by Tom Scott that kind of guides you on how to read these prepared adventures in a way that still kind of gives you a way to plan for the adventure, but also be surprised. So I hadn't read all this, so that was me reacting to it. So it looks like the zombies that we have been killing are all these cursed sailors. Whoopsie. I feel kind of bad, but I'm assuming there wasn't a way to bring them back, hopefully. And I can also assume that these conversations that I'm having with you with the camera, this is basically what my characters are doing. I personally feel a little bit silly, like orating out loud, like direct conversation for the most part. Sometimes I'll do it, but for the most part, this monologuing you're seeing is the characters hashing it out. And so my characters had to unwrap this journal and read it out loud and had the same reaction basically. And they're like, wow, okay. And this is before we had gone back to the top. And so right now I was reading right after this where it says, if a character casts detect magic, I stopped reading. I don't have detect magic, so I'm gonna not look. Oh. I'm gonna skip to the next part. I'm not sure if I should know who Orcus is. So there's a little section here in the manual as well that then says who Orcus is and a couple other things. So I'm going to decide right now that I believe spellcaster, and I don't see a check written in here, so I'm just gonna read. Known as the demon prince of Orcus, known as the demon prince of undeath and the bloodlord, the demon lord Orcus is a fiend whose power rivals that of the gods, ruling over hordes of demons in the nightmarish plane of existence called the Abyss. Orcus yearns to transform the multiverse into a ghastly place of death. Many undead creatures like ghouls worship him or seek to bargain with him in exchange for some fragment of his power over undeath. Okay, so I think at this point, Quippy would know that information. I don't want to keep everything, because if I spend the entire adventure not knowing anything and not reading things, it'll be a little difficult. So I decided in this instance, Quippy knows this information about Orcus, and when we read the journal, she tells Rolo the information, and they're like, oh shit, this is what's causing the zombies. And I think Rolo's gonna be like, this is huge. I think that this is gonna really ingratiate us to Runara. And if I play my cards right, I'm going to be able to find this item way before our timeline is over. And what I'm mentioning here is in one of the other episodes, I detailed that I only have X amount of time, which was a month total, which I think we're at like 24 days or something, depending. I did some math. I did some autistic math, deciding that there was a timeline. And so I do have a X amount of time before I fail this adventure, or I don't get the end result of whatever he's trying to steal. So now this kind of just gives me a plot moving forward that, Rolo wants X thing before X time, and helps me push his narrative forward, which is his own personal journey, which wasn't written into the adventure. So that's my explanation for that. As here, I already know that the harpies are about to appear. I couldn't avoid that. I did decide that my characters would be unlikely to swim outside of the boat. And I'm being as honest as I can with myself. If I were playing this with a actual DM, I wouldn't be trying to sneak away. I would understand that there's battles and part of the gaming process. So I'm just doing my best to play as my characters, and understanding that my understanding is going to fluctuate how I might change some things. But overall, I think I'm doing a pretty good job. And if you want to roll for every single decision, you can. That's listed in Mythic and DM yourself. But I've decided to take a step back from that kind of minutia. A new threat. After the characters find the captain's chest, when they come up from the hold to the lower deck, they hear a heavy thump on the deck. And that's one of the harpies landing there. So I'm still one level below. I know my character's already out. And I think I'm just going to have to react as my characters. So we take this talisman, we take this journal, and all this loot. And Rolo is just covered in all this loot. It's not a lot of heavy stuff, but he has a lot of items and jewels, and he's super happy about all of this. Exuberant, actually. I would think that he's probably excited to get going, but also cautious, because I have written his binding behaviors as being a cautious man. So they're going to hear that thump, and I'm just trying to decide for myself, what would they think it is? They would probably think it's another zombie and proceed with caution. That makes the most sense. I think the only creatures we've encountered besides the myconids have been zombies and ghouls, which are obviously byproducts of this talisman that we're carrying. What do you think, Rolo? Is that another zombie up there? Probably. Did we miss any other rooms? I don't think there was any rooms up on the top deck. No, there were no other doors up there. These are the only doors, and this is the one level below. I'm too lazy to take it off. So I think that my characters would just decide that it's most likely a zombie, and that they're going to proceed with caution. So Rolo's going to pop up first. This was kind of me pre-gaming it a little bit, and trying to decide as my characters and doing a little bit of thought processing of what would reaction be. Would it make more sense for Rolo? Because what I've decided already is Rolo's going to pop his head out. He is the fastest character, and he also has the cunning action maneuver, being able to dash far away. So he's the fastest of these two characters, so he's been taking the lead because we don't have a tank. So Rolo's going to pop his head out and see a terrifying monster perches on top of the crow's nest, spreading its scraggly wings and screeching. Its wings and legs resemble those of a mangy vulture, while its head, torso, and arms look almost human. It clutches a large bone like a club and flexes its talons. And there's one over here on the mast. And if you are a level 2nd character or higher, there's another one over here on the foremast, or forecastle, or whatever that is. So I did a roll last episode where I was trying to decide if my characters knew anything about harpies, and they did not. So besides the fact that they knew that they're like these beasts, but they don't know anything beyond that, like if they're capable of talking or what their weaknesses are or anything like that. So Rolo's going to basically pop out, and these harpies are going to see him and start screaming, and we're basically There's an option here in the manual that says something about talking to the harpy, but I really just don't think that my characters would try to talk to the harpy. And honestly, I think that my characters are probably going to try to run away. I don't see any we've already been through this entire shit. Rolo has every single goodie he could want, and he'd even put on those boots of Elven. He should have put them on. But so we know that we've been through here. We have everything we need. Two options. We go back down to the hull and swim out to the rowboat, or we run to the rowboat. I skimmed the rest of this adventure, and what I think my characters would try to do isn't actually listed here. In the adventure, it says what triggers the harpy's return, which is what we triggered it. There was a way to not trigger it, which was swimming out, but that didn't make sense for my characters at the time. I think at this point that Rolo is gonna not come out, and so they know, because he's already been swimming down there, he knows that there's an escape through the part of the ship that we were in last episode. And our rowboat is tied off the mast here in the front. We would have to cross paths with that. So I think we're gonna go back down in the hold and escape out the bottom. I honestly think that's what's gonna happen. I was hoping it would say here how to do that, but it doesn't. So I'm gonna have to decide for myself. I think it would be reasonable. They're already alerted that we're there, so they're looking for us. I think it would be reasonable for us to try to swim out and them to start attacking us in some manner. And we'll have to deal with being in the water and swimming. And I guess I'm gonna read up on some rules real quick on underwater breathing to decide how long it's gonna, how far I can go without breaking surface and other things like that. After reading a little bit more about harpies, I decided I think I have to roll for initiative because of their luring songs. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll for initiative because Rolo's gonna pop down and say there's 2 harpies outside, and I wanted them to just run away, but the harpies have this thing called luring song, which I believe just makes sense for them to use. It has a 300-foot radius, and I was trying to decide would they be able to hear it through the ship, but since harpies in this instance are known for luring sailors to their death, I think it makes sense that they can hear it through the ship, and they have been alerted from Rolo popping out. So we're gonna roll for initiative and go from there. Unfortunately, one of the harpies got ahead of me. So we have Harpy 1, then Rolo, then Quippy, then Harpy 2. And Harpy 1's just going to be the one in the mast. And we're going to go ahead, and the harpy is going to immediately start singing luring song, having noticed Rolo popping in and out. So they have to do wisdom saving throws. Quippy, I gave her advantage on that, so she has +4, and Rolo has +1. So Rolo is red and Quippy is purple. Good luck. 4. That's terrible. Okay, so Quippy just makes it. Rolo does not. Rolo has been successfully harpied. Let me read this out. The harpy sings a magical melody. Every humanoid and giant within 30 feet of the harpy that can hear the song must succeed on a DC 11 wisdom saving throw or be charmed until the song ends. The harpy must take a bonus action on its subsequent turns to continue singing. It can stop singing at any time. The song ends if the harpy is incapacitated. Okay? While charmed by the harpy, a target is incapacitated and ignores the songs of other harpies. Okay, so there are 2 harpies. If the charmed target is more than 5 feet away from the harpy, the target must move on its turn towards the harpy by the most direct route, trying to get within 5 feet. If it doesn't avoid opportunity attacks, but before moving into the damaging terrain, such as lava or pit, or whenever it takes damage, blah, 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 the target can repeat the saving throw. Okay, so if anything interrupts me in a sense that it's going to cause me damage, I would then do another saving throw. And I also get the opportunity to do it at the end of my turn. Okay, and then once it's successful, the effect ends. Rolo is charmed immediately by this harpy breaking into song. Quippy is not, but she watches in horror, because Rolo's next. Rolo, after having closed the hatch, pushes it right back up and climbs out. All right, that's going to be 5 foot of his Rolo ends his turn directly outside of here because the harpy did not move down. I decided that the harpy, until knowing what's going to happen next, would not have jumped down. So it is Rolo's now patiently waiting for this harpy to come get him. It is now Quippy's turn. I forgot that Rolo gets to do the saving throw again because it's the end of his turn. So he needs to beat 11. All right, what did he get? That's 13. Okay, so this time he successfully broke the spell. So Rolo basically climbs out and then manages to shake it off, and he's left standing at the base of the pole. And he's going to say, what am I doing? It is Quippy's turn. She's basically, so I'm doing like she's at the base of the ladder. The hatch is open. He's right next to it. She can probably just see him. And I'm going to decide here what she would probably do. The spell is broken. She's probably going to say, get back down here. What would she do? Because he broke the spell and seems to have snapped out of whatever was making him climb out, I believe Quippy, since it's her turn now, she's going to climb up and give him guidance, but with just touch. She's going to basically just climb up enough to grab him by the foot and say, get down here, Rolo, and guidance. And then she's going to climb right back down and retreat back into the hold. Okay, so she's immune to that harpy song, and now Rolo is too. It is now the last harpy's turn, and it is also going to sing its song at us. So we have to beat a DC 11. All right, here goes Rolo again. 20. Woo, woo. All right, and here is Quippy. And Quippy got a 15. Okay, cool. It fails completely. I'm going to say that the next harpy's spell just swells into the air, but Rolo, having just snapped out of the other one, successfully snaps out of that one. It is now the original harpy's turn. How fast are they? Thankfully for Rolo, since this mast is 50 feet and it doesn't have a 10-foot reach attack, the harpy, during its turn, flies down. I don't really have a place to put it that's 10 feet above. So we're just going to put it here, and it's basically, we're going to pretend that it's right above Rolo. Rolo is getting back in that hatch and closing it. Dunk. All right, so we are below the decks. There's two very angry harpies. Thankfully, we've shaken off the luring songs. I don't know if my characters necessarily know that they are successfully immune from it at this point because we didn't know anything about harpies. But since both of them are singing and nothing's happening, I'm going to go ahead and assume that they think that they're okay for now. And also the harpies, judging from their intellect and the information that I read about them, I don't think that they're going to try to attempt to come into this hatch. But they're definitely mad at us, especially the one in the mast, because we took all its shit. They're going to be singing, thumping, and hitting everything around. We're still in combat, technically, but I think I'm going to go ahead and say combat ends at this point because my characters are not going to come back out. All right. So now we're going to do my original idea of they're going back down to the hold and swimming out. But after having gone through all that, they don't know about the 24-hour things, but we're not going to wait 24 hours. Right now it's about 12:45. It's 12:45 p.m. I think my characters are going to a long rest until it's dark. I'm not sure how to balance that out. Should I roll to see if I get attacked multiple times? We've already cleared the ship. So I think it's reasonable to expect at this point that there's not going to be any more zombies or ghouls. I think it's okay because in DM yourself, it suggests that the more time that you spend in a place that you could add in encounters. But realistically, the ship's cleared out. There's nowhere else for monsters to magically appear. And the manual for this adventure says that if you do a short or long rest inside the ship, you trigger the harpies. That's one of the conditions for the harpies. If you do that, there's other ones as well. But so I think it's reasonable to say that we could do a long rest and be successful at not having anything occur. And yeah, that probably is just what happens. We're going to do a long rest until when does the sun go down? Probably like 7. Okay, it's 9 p.m. and we were waiting for darkness to escape. Those harpies are still around. So now we're going to look at the harpies and decide if they have night vision, or find out if they have night vision, and what other kind of things that are going to give them advantage, because we're going to have to go back into battle here when they notice us again. So let me find that out. All right, their passive perception is 10. They don't have night vision. Rolo is a very stealthy character. I actually gave him advantage on that as well. He has a +7 to stealth checks. So here's what we're going to do. Rolo is going to, there was a lot of that seaweed that Tarak wanted that was down in the hold, so he's going to take some of it and cover himself up. And this is, they're resting downstairs, they're making plans while it's 9 hours that pass. All right, they're going to cover them, he's going to cover himself in the seaweed, and I'm giving myself advantage on this roll because I think it's dark enough. They don't go right out when the sun sets, they wait longer, and these harpies don't trust each other, so they're kind of been watching each other this whole time and haven't really been relaxed. It's difficult for them to see, and they're getting tired now. I imagine they're just waiting us out or hoping to see us come out. They're not super intelligent. I wouldn't say they're super dumb. They're probably keeping an eye on our boat, but I don't think that they've probably set up on it or tried to do anything to it because they're not that intelligent. So we're going to go ahead and say that they're just basically sitting around watching. One's back up in the mast, one's still on the forecastle and flies back and forth every once in a while. Rolo covers himself in seaweed and slips out. And we're going to roll for that stealth check and see if he comes up without being noticed by either one of these guys. And then his idea is to go to the ship and unlatch it. After a predetermined, I think probably we'll decide on 10 minutes, Quippy's just supposed to come out. And she will also roll with advantage, but not a stealth check, and see if they slip away. Here we go. Passive perception is 10. And let's see if he comes out. +5. Successful. Rolo is in the water like this. All right, we're going to roll one more time. Does he successfully swim quietly as a pile of seaweed to the ship? Yes! Excellent. All right, Rolo is a success here. He manages to untie the ship. It's now kind of drifting. He's getting ready to slide on board and be circumspect. And those guys are just still on the mast and flying around doing their own thing. Time passes. It is now Quippy's turn to come out. She only has a +1 on stealth. Fucking fail. All right. She just fails. They notice her. So we're going to roll for initiative again. I rolled for initiative and the harpy that was in the crow's nest got first. They've already sung, so they don't have that option anymore. That harpy's gonna fly down, and it's basically, since it has flying options, it's basically gonna come like here, and it's gonna be right around here. I'm gonna say they're only about 20 feet above Quippy at this point, and I'll put Quippy in the water, and I'll put everybody where they need to go. So Quippy's right here is a pile of seaweed. And here's Rolo, still hidden though. Rolo's hidden. So this guy is now basically over here and above. All right, it is now Quippy's turn. I think my movement's pretty reduced in the water. And try to hide again, literally like going down. And so it's super dark. So I don't want to say, it's going to have to be rolled with disadvantage because they're already looking for her. And so I'm going to go ahead and roll with disadvantage and then add the D4 to it. So Quippy, because this one's now hovering above her, is just like, holy shit, and just goes straight back down. And they had used guidance on themselves. So we're going to do another stealth check with disadvantage. Hold on, let's roll 2 D20s. And let's see what happens here. Nat 1. And Quippy chokes themselves and basically comes right back up with water shooting out of their nose. All right, it is now the second harpy's turn. I would say that they are going to also fly out over the water, and they're going to probably end up 40. So they're pretty close to the other one because I think the other one's like right around here too. So just imagine that both of these guys are hovering about 10 feet over the water where Quippy is. All right. It is Rolo's turn. He is hidden, and also he's attacking with advantage, and he gets 2 hits because of his cunning action. So he's going to just plop out immediately right here. Boop. So we're going to go ahead and attack the one that's closer to Quippy. That's who he's shooting for, and that is within range. All right, that hits. All right, so I'm going to disengage and hide, and we're going to roll a dexterity check right for that one. So 13, yes, obviously that goes over theirs, and he has successfully hidden this round. It is now Quippy's turn. She's once again going to cast guidance on herself and try to hide and pop up somewhere else. So we're going to do that. We're going to bloop, bloop, bloop down. We're going to roll again with disadvantage. 10 and 3. Shit. All right. Is there any point to rolling that? No, there is no point to rolling that. So she successfully does not hide, but she is going to start moving towards Rolo and closer to them, honestly. So they're still 10 feet above her, so she's just moving towards Rolo. They're right above her. Unfortunately, she did not successfully hide. All right, Rolo successfully hits the first one, and it gets pretty damaged, and it whips around to look at Rolo, and now he's quite a threat, but he's also hidden. So I actually would say that this one's going to disengage at this point and fly back over to the ship because it doesn't know where Rolo is. It got hit in the back and damaged pretty extensively, and Rolo is hidden, so it's going to be like, what the fuck? What just happened? I accidentally rolled this before I did that whole thing with the Harpy out, but Quippy unsuccessfully tried to hide again, and it didn't work. She basically just moved a little bit over, but was completely noticeable and did not slip away. So what's happening here is it's pretty dark. So I'm rolling with disadvantage for her now because it's still capable of breaking their contact. There's a lot of debris and crap in this area, and it's dark time. They don't have night vision, but they know about where she is. So she did not successfully meet that ability check. So since she did not meet that ability check, she's still visible. It is now Harpy number 2's turn. I would say that it did see the other Harpy get attacked, didn't see where the attack came from, but since it's not that hurt, it's going to go ahead and attack Quippy. So it's within 10 feet. I'm going to go ahead and say it does a multi-attack. I think that the Harpy would be at a disadvantage here. It does make a multi-attack, so I'm going to roll a disadvantage because it's attacking in the dark in the water, and I think that just makes sense. Maybe not. I think it would, yeah, I think that makes sense because if they were on a stable surface, then they wouldn't have that disadvantage. So I'm rolling with a disadvantage here for the Harpy on its first attack. A 6 and an 8. Yes, they both miss. Quippy is safe in this round. Rolo's turn again. Rolo's going to attack the second one, just like it attacked the first one, hoping to draw it off of Quippy. He's going to get to roll with advantage. All right. All right, so I got an 8 with advantage there. Plus 3 to hit. That hits. Okay, cool. And I'm going to roll again. We got advantage. We got a 14. That hits. Okay, so that means I get to... All right, it's still pretty dark, so Rolo's going to hide again. I would say that at this point he doesn't have advantage on hiding because they're looking for him pretty actively. But he's got high stealth. 17. Okay, he successfully hides again. All right, it is now top of the hour here. We're going to say that other Harpy definitely saw Rolo pop in and out, but knows that there's a danger over there. It's not low enough health yet that it's going to avoid Quippy. So I think it's going to go ahead and try to attack Quippy because it's definitely within range to kind of strike and then start going back to the ship. So it's going to do its attack once again with disadvantage because Quippy's in the water. So Quippy, we're going to see here. Quippy's AC is 12. Second attack hits. Okay, so the multi-attack hits and Quippy gets 3 points of damage. This time around, the Harpy leaps off the ship and it tries to hit Quippy with a club, but misses as the waves slosh around her. So the orange Harpy right here leaps off the battlements and strikes at Quippy with a club, splashing into the water right next to Quippy, barely missing them. And then with its other hand, it swipes down and slashes Quippy and gets her across the back of her neck as she's in the water swimming towards Rolo, and Quippy lets out a scream as she gets clawed. Ouch. Quippy, from the force of the blow, gasps and ducks underwater, casting guidance on herself, thinking to herself, you gotta do this, and tries to once again escape while swimming, trying to distract. A stealth check here. I actually don't think that's viable anymore. It would only be viable if I'm not going directly towards the ship. So let's go ahead and do the stealth check first. Stealth check with disadvantage, I think. Am I doing disadvantage? All right, stealth check with disadvantage. That's right. 3, 4. Okay. No. Quippy is still not having any luck and still trying to fly over there. Okay. It is the second harpy's turn. It's hovering above her. It's going to come down and attack Quippy. It has disadvantage, still in the water here. All right, 16 and 15. Okay, so 15. So the club attack is going to hit Quippy. Oh, that one hurts more. Shit. All right, so that one slashes into Quippy. Quippy's at 19 points of health. So the second harpy is hovering above Quippy, and it comes within range of Quippy, and it lashes out with its club and whacks Quippy right in the head, and then it misses with its claw. Quippy's not doing well. She's trying to swim, and it's not going very quickly, trying to get to this ship. And honestly, we're not even sure what's going to happen then, because she still has to deal with the harpies. They don't disappear when she gets to the ship. So she's just going to keep going. And what's it about? We're getting closer now. It is Rolo's turn. Once again, breaking out of stealth to attack. And we're going to roll with advantage. All right, 11, that hits. And then 11 and 10, that hits. So we get to do 2 rolls again. 12 points of damage. Okay, so Rolo once again is going to just attack this closest one here. In DM yourself, once a enemy gets to 1/3 of their HP, which is 9.5, which is 10 for these creatures, which they're both at, they're at 10 and 9 respectively, they start to run away. So I think that's a roll. Let me double check. Yes, as the DM yourself guidelines for combat behavior, if low HP less than 33%, which is 1/3 basically, they will start to run away, which is what's happening in my game. These creatures were mad that we took all their loot, but they would rather not die. And thankfully, with the rogue's ability for being able to disengage and hide successfully, it's dark. They waited a long time for this. We managed to get through this adventure without having to do the combat. So that's great, because I really feel like my characters are more the type to avoid combat if they absolutely can. And honestly, this is like the adventurers, the kids' fantasy wet dream come true, where I looted everything. I didn't kill everything. I almost killed everything. And I got all the information. Half of the adventure is solved. This is like a really defining moment for the characters. And Rolo is really feeling himself, because he basically went into this with no idea how it was going to come out, and he came out with a lot of benefits for himself. And also, he's balancing out this narrative that he's trying to build with Runara, the leader of Dragon's Rest, because he's trying to steal from her. So I'm going to end the chapter here. It's a little bit less time. I think I've only been recording for less than an hour, so it'll probably be like 20 to 30 minutes after I finish editing it. Though I think I'm getting a little bit better about cutting out my pauses, because I spent a lot of time off camera looking up stuff and umming and ahhing. So you guys, don't show that. All right. Thank you once again. Please, if anybody has any questions, let me know. If you want to see anything in particular, let me know. I do plan on doing more playthroughs like this, but I think I'm only going to show maybe 1 or 2 at a time, because this is very labor intensive on the end of editing it. But I like showing my playthroughs, and I also really like watching people's playthroughs on YouTube, so I wanted to kind of show this, because nobody's actually done quite like this before. And if they have, tag me, because I want to see it. All right, yeah, thank you. Drop, comment, like, share, subscribe, etc. And have a wonderful day.